Welcome back to TMZ Live, and we now have officially three options for the COVID vaccine as the Johnson & Johnson vaccine rolled out on Monday. And this is, by all accounts, really great news, right? Because we have the important matter here is to have as many doses out there, and Johnson & Johnson shipped out their first doses on Monday. Now that you have, the more options you have, people are obviously going to be asking, which one should I get? Right. When you give people options, they're not just it's just human nature. Everyone's going to want a particular one for their own reasons. So where does Johnson & Johnson, what are the pluses, minuses? Let's bring in a guy who knows a lot about this because we've had Dr. Tony Mills on before talking about the vaccine, but he was actually the lead investigator for Johnson & Johnson when they did their trials here in LA. They did it through his clinic. So Dr. Tony Mills is joining us once again. Dr. Mills, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, Dr. Mills.
Good morning, Charles. Good morning, Harvey. How are you?
We're good. One of the things that I have just lasered in on over the last couple of weeks is every time they ask one of the officials, Dr. Fauci and others, the efficacy of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and how it stacks up with Pfizer and Moderna, they always say it's important to get vaccinated for herd immunity. They never say squarely it's just as effective. They say you got to get vaccinated. It's important for herd immunity. So I'm asking you straight, is this as effective as, I know there are pluses and minuses, is it as effective as Pfizer and Moderna?
I mean, I think the answer you're hearing from everyone on television is, which is the right vaccine? The right vaccine is the one that's in the syringe heading towards your arm. So any option that you have for getting a vaccine, that's the right one for you. One of the things they teach us at the very beginning of medical school is that we can't compare one study versus another study because there are an infinite number of variables that are different when different studies are conducted. Maybe this one was done in the winter. Maybe this one was done in the summer. If it's done in the winter, there are going to be more flu symptoms that appear in the study. If it's done in the summer, there'll be more sunburn that appears in the study. So we really can't compare. So that's why people aren't directly saying one is better than another, because we can't really say until we have a direct comparison.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Well, hold on just a second. I understand what you're saying about not comparing the studies, but people are going to look at those numbers. And if you have one that says it's 95% effective and another one that says it's whatever Johnson & Johnson is, I don't want to put out the wrong number, but it's below 95, aren't people just naturally going to go, well, that's not as good?
They are. And again, that's why we are taught that lesson in medical school on day one, is because that's the natural tendency to do that. So the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines were done in the late winter and the spring last year. So we didn't have any variants at that point. It was one single virus that was out there. The other thing that happens is that when a drug company is trying to get a product approved, they always want the healthiest people possible in their phase 3 trials. The last thing you want is someone to have a heart attack or a woman to have a miscarriage or something like that in your trial, which might endanger that medication or vaccine actually moving towards FDA approval. So Moderna and Pfizer definitely followed that pattern. Johnson & Johnson took a little bit different approach. Their vaccine trial was enrolling between August and December. So it was the peak of the COVID crisis in the United States. There were multiple variants that were out there that were resistant to some of the other vaccines. And they really they actively recruited the people who were most at risk for severe COVID-19 symptoms. So again, when you look at that, there are different populations that were studied. And so to have a 72% efficacy in that population in the United States at the time when the virus was at its height is amazing.
Dr. Mills,
Okay.
there have been some religious groups that have objected to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because apparently they use stem cells in the manufacture of the drugs, and I'm curious whether on the ground you're getting this kind of resistance. I know it's early because the vaccine's just rolling out, Your thoughts on that?
I haven't had any potential vaccine recipients complain about the use of stem cells. I think, stem cells are one of the most exciting things that's happened in medicine in the last 20 years. And we're talking about curing major illnesses, diabetes, heart disease, things like that, using stem cells. So, do they come from a living tissue? Yes. So that's an unavoidable answer. But I think that the good outweighs the bad.
Okay, well, this is really, you know what? I wanted to get these answers on Johnson & Johnson. This has really been helpful.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have these questions.
Dr. Mills, always like having you on, and thank you very much for the information. It's really useful.
It's a pleasure. You guys have a great day, and stay healthy and well.